Let's talk a little bit about Gunther, because a lot of people had the question, rightfully so, what's next for one of the most dominant forces that WWE has to offer? I mean, since he debuted on the main roster, he went on an incredible run, 666-day Intercontinental title run, loses it at WrestleMania 40. The question then becomes, okay, what's the next step? And it was obvious. Well, he lost the Intercontinental title after elevating it for over almost 2 years. The next step is the main event scene. The next step is world titles. And how do they get them there? They get them there through King of the Ring. Dominant through that tournament, wins in Saudi Arabia, at the King of the Ring tournament, and then eventually gets his first world title victory over Damian Priest at SummerSlam. He holds that for 258 days, and then he loses again at WrestleMania, this time WrestleMania 41 against Jey Uso. And once again, we are left to ask the question, what now for the ring general? What is next for Gunther? Because last year there was an obvious succession, right? You lose the Intercontinental title, and automatically you catapult yourself into the world title picture. We're seeing it this year with Bron Breakker. But once you've had that first title run and you've lost it, where do you go from there? What's next? You're not going to bounce back down to the Intercontinental Championship picture, especially as Dominik Mysterio is currently holding it. That just doesn't feel like it makes a lot of sense for Gunther. So what does he do? He starts paying back some debts, and he kicks it off with the Monday Night Raw announce team. We saw on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, he confronts Michael Cole about all the smack that Cole was talking. Cole gets a little bit in his feels and says, listen, I'm not the one that tapped out at WrestleMania. Gunther takes exception. We saw what happened after that. And all of this sets up Gunther versus Pat McAfee at Backlash. I'll give my official prediction later, but I think we all know which way this one is going to go. You can only keep Gunther off the world title scent for so long. So they have to get really creative to kind of make him look like a dominant force once again, because we can all agree that world heavyweight title reign, that first world title reign, just didn't feel like peak Gunther. It didn't feel like the Intercontinental title reign. He didn't feel as dominant. And part of that was they kicked things off with a little bit of a crisis of faith for Gunther against Damian Priest. Priest saying, oh, you can't actually beat me. You're not the ring general. Him losing to Cody Rhodes. Maybe he's not as good as he thought he was. Then he gets his confidence back, and once that happens, once he starts to get on a roll again, we have WrestleMania season where he doesn't defend the title for 3 months before losing it to Jey Uso. So now you need to reestablish. You need to rebuild. You need to make Gunther dominant again. Make Gunther a force. Make Gunther somebody that people are scared to get in the ring with once again. Make him the ring general, for Christ's sake. It starts with Pat McAfee at Backlash. That's the one where it says, okay, Gunther is no longer the world heavyweight champion, but you know what? He is, as Cody Rhodes said a couple years ago, be the champ without the belt. That is a position that Gunther can be in going into the post-WrestleMania PLEs. And again, eventually, he's going to circle back to a world title, whether that's the World Heavyweight Championship on Monday Night Raw or the undisputed WWE Championship on Friday Night SmackDown. And to me, if I had to guess, if I had to speculate, that's the direction that he ends up taking. We have the WWE draft that is coming down the pike at some point here. I'd have to imagine that we see the ring general hop from Monday Night Raw to Friday Night SmackDown, and by hook or by crook, at some point in time, we are going to get that long-awaited matchup between current undisputed WWE Champion John Cena and former World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. Whether that is at SummerSlam, whether that is, I don't think we'd wait the whole way to Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia in October, but it just feels like he is destined to get back into the world title scene, and it feels like he needs to start being a dominant force. And he can do that much better in a crowded Friday Night SmackDown locker room than he can doing it against Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and Logan Paul and CM Punk and all those names that I mentioned in the first segment. Those names are all busy going after Jey Uso. It feels like adding Gunther might just get him lost in the shuffle. He needs to go to SmackDown and he needs to start mowing down competitors, whether that's a matchup with Drew McIntyre and a feud with Drew McIntyre, whether that's him and LA Knight, whether that's him and trying to think of some of the other faces, Damian Priest again. I don't know if I'm interested in seeing that, but hey, if it's just 2 weeks where Gunther absolutely lays him out, that helps reestablish Gunther. So I'm open to pretty much anything over this next couple of months, as long as Gunther looks strong, as long as Gunther continues to be fed fodder and continues to just run through whatever roster he's on, whether he remains on Monday Night Raw or whether he heads over to Friday Night SmackDown. But again, something tells me that we are going to get that Cena Gunther match, because they kicked off the Cena final 17th world title run, giving us something we all wanted, which was Cena versus Randy Orton. We all want Cena versus Gunther, and something tells me that might be in the works for later in 2025.